is Valley News Live at 4.
This is something that I don't think, especially a lot of younger women, ever thought would happen, but it has.
Emotions are high and reaction pouring in today after the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, leaving the fate of abortion laws up to the states. North Dakota is one of 13 trigger states with a law already in place ready to ban abortion. It's one of many states that you see here in orange likely to have a ban. On the other hand, Minnesota could become a safe haven for the procedure, among other states. North Dakota's only abortion clinic, the Red River Women's Clinic downtown Fargo, is on the move. They say they've purchased property in Moorhead and will continue performing abortions. A GoFundMe page has been started to help the clinic with renovations and furnishings at the new location. That's already raised more than $150,000. In the meantime, they continue operations in Fargo. Meanwhile, Planned Parenthood in Moorhead is again vowing to make sure women in North Dakota are cared for. We'll have team coverage of this landmark decision tonight. We'll be live at the Red River Women's Clinic tonight on Valley News Live at 5 and 6, and we'll bring you live coverage of a protest happening at the federal courthouse in downtown Fargo starting at 6. Let's continue with the Supreme Court's decision itself. The High Court siding with the state of Mississippi and moving to eliminate the constitutional right to abortion. Skylar Henry has more on that decision and reaction.
This decision must not stand!
Protesters erupted outside the Supreme Court after the justices ruled to overturn Roe versus Wade.
I kept hoping for the best, but it's clear that these justices don't care about the majority of Americans and their voices.
This is going to be like history. This is just the beginning of, the pro-life generation, being there for women, for the unborn.
Writing for the majority, Justice Samuel Alito said the Constitution does not confer a right to abortion. Chief Justice John Roberts joined the other 5 conservatives in upholding Mississippi's abortion ban, but wrote he would have stopped short of overruling Roe outright.
It's a sad day for the court and for the country.
President Biden called the decision wrong and extreme.
Now, with Roe gone, let's be very clear. The health and life of women in this nation are now at risk.
The court's 3 liberals agreed, writing they dissented with sorrow for the many millions of American women who have today lost a fundamental constitutional protection. The court's ruling wasn't a surprise. It'd been forecast several weeks ago following a leaked draft indicating which way the justices were leaning. The decision is expected to lead to abortion bans in roughly half the states.
This decision is a victory for the pro-life movement and for the generations of Americans who never gave up hope.
The ruling puts the court at odds with a majority of Americans. CBS News polling found 2/3 wanted the court to leave Roe versus Wade in place, as it has been for nearly half a century. Skylar Henry, CBS News, at the Supreme Court.
In addition to overturning Roe, Justice Clarence Thompson also called on the court to overturn other rulings, including protections for same-sex marriage and the use of contraceptives. North Dakota's Governor Doug Burgum says today's landmark Supreme Court decision returns power to the states where it belongs. Quote, "We will now work diligently with the Attorney General to fulfill our constitutional duty by carrying out the 2007 legislation that is triggered by overturning Roe v. Wade." North Dakota Attorney General Drew Wrigley, meanwhile, says his office is evaluating the opinion in every detail. Will give careful consideration to its impact on North Dakota's abortion laws. By statute, the Attorney General's office has 30 days to certify whether the decision gives effect to current North Dakota abortion laws that conflicted with the previous U.S. Supreme Court decisions. And Minnesota Governor Tim Walz tweeted a series of thoughts after the decision was announced, saying, quote, "Let me be very clear. This ruling changes nothing in Minnesota today, tomorrow, or as long as I'm governor. We will not turn back the clock on reproductive rights." Turning our attention to the weather, we could be in for some severe storms this evening. Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson joins us now with the latest on that. Hutch.
All right, Stacey, thanks so much. We're tracking severe storms right now, active tornado warnings and thunderstorm warnings and a watch. Let's go through everything and a little bit of the details on what you can expect. We have the watch in effect for most of our viewing area in yellow here until 9 o'clock. All hazards will be possible between now and sunset. that threat does include the risk for some tornadoes. I'm going to go to the wall so we can point out what's going on. These storms are forming along a warm front right now. Many of them are severe. Here's a new warning for Kittson County right now, just popping in. These are slowly drifting north. These storms moving toward Devil's Lake out of Wells County, and these have active tornado warnings on them right now. So we'll go over those first. This, Wells County, a actual confirmed tornado out there not far from the Manfred area, and Cheyenne, a tornado warning does continue for this storm drifting east at only 10 to 15 miles per hour straight along the county line there as we go through. And again, that tornado started here, and that warning does continue near the Fessenden area. Here's the Cheyenne storm. Then you can see this little bite taken out of the radar data right here. That is called a hook echo, and that's an indication of spin. And it also lines up pretty nicely with where we're seeing the velocities or spin in the storm. So right on the county line near Cheyenne, a couple of areas, 2 different areas of tight rotation along with that warning. Nothing confirmed yet, but you should be seeking shelter in that interior room away from windows. This huge cluster of storms has a considerable warning for very large hail, over 1 inch in diameter. 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible from these storms as they work their way towards Cavalier. And the newest warning right here in the Hallock area, we'll go over there and get you just the basic details on that warning until the 4:45 time frame for hail up to 1 inch in diameter. All of this line of storms now to the north of us is going to start making its way into the valley. Our storm team is here to cover it, including with our sky cams in our network. Eric Whitehill is en route to monitor storms and look for ones as they make their way toward the Red River Valley between 7 and 11 o'clock tonight. As we get past dark, Stacy, it looks like gusty straight line winds will be the main threat, but we do have that risk for tornadoes. I'll have your hour-by-hour forecast here in just a few more moments.
All right, thanks so much, Hutch. Governor Doug Burgum requested a major disaster declaration to help counter the cost of severe spring storms and flooding. The storms knocked out power to more than 10,000 North Dakotans and caused more than $57 million worth of damage. The letter to President Biden calls for a declaration for 40 North Dakota counties. If granted, that declaration would unlock FEMA assistance to help pay for repairs and other infrastructure. Burgum is also asking that the Hazard Mitigation Grant program be implemented on a statewide basis to help communities pay for projects that increase resiliency and reduce costs in the long term. New information on the arson investigation at a historic North Dakota church. The ATF now offering a $5,000 reward for information that leads to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for the fire at Maple Cheyenne Lutheran Church near Harwood. Authorities say the church was set ablaze sometime before 8 a.m. last Friday. No one was hurt. Call 1-888-ATF-TIPS with any information. We also have new information on the search for a man who jumped in the Red River on Wednesday. Police confirm the man they're searching for is a 22-year-old from Hennepin County. Just after 4 Wednesday afternoon, East Grand Forks police responded to a call for an unwanted person. Police say they spoke with the 22-year-old. They said they told him to leave. He was heading back to Grand Forks, but around 30 minutes later, police responded to another call for that same man jumping into the Red River near the Sorley Bridge. They tried to throw buoys and life jackets to him, but he wasn't able to grab them. They lost sight of him moments later. Polk County and Grand Forks County Water Rescue continue their search today. The death of a North Dakota teen missing for more than a week last month has been ruled as an accidental drowning. The body of 18-year-old Tyler Schaefer was recovered from the Knife River on May 11th. The medical examiner also determined alcohol use was a significant factor. A memorial service for the victims of the Surfside condo collapse was held today to mark 1 year since the tragedy. 98 people died when the oceanfront building suddenly came down in the middle of the night. Banners bearing the victims' names and ages border the site where the building once stood. Their families are missing loved ones and answers. Well, the mayor says he's frustrated with the investigation.
I'm very disappointed that we still don't know why the building fell down. We've got residents of condos all throughout Surfside and all throughout Miami that are wondering if their building's going to fall down too.
A judge approved a $1 billion settlement for victims and families that'll come from several sources, including insurance companies, engineering companies, and a luxury condominium recently built next door. The moment many parents have waited for months has finally come. Infants, toddlers, and preschoolers rolled up their sleeves today at Sanford Health, becoming among the youngest in the valley to get the COVID-19 vaccine. At one Sanford Health clinic, officials say dozens of doses were administered today as parents and their children waited eagerly to get the shot. The state of North Dakota will get 5,700 doses for children ages 6 months to 5 years old. You can make an appointment online at both Essentia and Sanford Health. A man is making a journey halfway across the country, 11 miles per hour, in honor of his brother who's battling Parkinson's disease. He's making his way across North Dakota on the 1,700-mile trip, driving his John Deere from Washington to his brother-in-law's home in Perch Lake, Minnesota. He's raising awareness about the disease along the way. Mike Atkinson is partnering with the American Parkinson's Disease Association. He says so far they've raised more than $42,000 during the trip, which he hopes will help in finding a cure. Still to come, a new trend for homeowners ripping out their grass and replacing it with artificial turf. We'll tell you why and how much it'll cost you.
And most of the thunderstorms right now in the Northern Valley and points out to the west. And this blob of activity will be making its way into and through the valley. I'll have the latest on the timing and track and risks from tonight's rounds of severe weather. Your forecast details are straight ahead.